Hi everyone, good morning and a warm welcome to all the viewers of this video and myself V. Dinesh Babu from the Department of Computer Science and Engineering of Chebrol Engineering College. And in today's session, we are going to discuss about some of the basic things of web technologies. That is, we are going to discuss about HTML and some of the basic tags of HTML. And in the previous session, we already saw about the JNTU Kakinada syllabus of web technologies. We already saw that in the Unit 1, we are going to cover the topics regarding HTML and CSS. And in the Unit 2, we are going to cover the topics regarding JavaScript. And in Unit 3, Ajax. And in Unit 4, we are going to cover the topics regarding PHP, Hypertext Preprocessor. And then in Unit 5, Ruby, and in Unit 6, Perl. We already saw that the different topics what we are going to cover in the coming semester. And in today's session, let us start our things with the basic things of HTML. HTML and HTML is a language which is used for creating a web pages and web applications. We all know that there are many computer languages. Each and every language has some purpose. For example, C programming language is a general purpose programming language, and similarly, some other programming languages are used for some other purposes. And here, the purpose of this HTML programming language, HTML language is that it is used to create web pages and it is used to create some web applications. So let us look at the full form of HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So let us have a look at what do you mean by hypertext and what is the meaning of markup language. So the meaning of markup language is that it is used to apply layout and formatting conventions to a text document. So markup means we are going to apply some layout and formatting conventions to a text document. So if we have some text with us and if we want to display that particular text on a web page or any other web applications, we need to format the text. At the same time, we need to apply some layout to the text in order to have a good look of the text on a web applications or a web page. So it may be not only text, it may be it may be image or any other thing. If we want to display some image or a text or anything on a web page, we need to have some conversions and we need to format that thing, and then we have to apply some layout in order to make that thing to look good on a web page or a web applications. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and the meaning of markup language is that it is used to apply some layout and formatting conventions to a text document. And then let us have a look at hyper. So hyper means the way of linking web pages together. So if we are many of us already browsing something or doing something on the internet or web. So while we are working with the internet or while we are observing something on the internet, if we want to look at something, we have to travel along with the multiple number of pages. So the linking of the web pages have to be made by using the linking of that web pages is called as hypertext. So finally, the HTML stands for the linking of web pages, and a text document need to be formatted, and then we have to apply some layout in order to make a good look of that particular text on a web page. And then coming to the next slide, HTML is a language used for the World Wide Web. We have www, that is a World Wide Web, and it is a language which was used for World Wide Web. It is the standard text formatting languages. There are many text formatting languages. Among all those languages, it is the HTML is the standard text formatting language, and is used for, we already discussed in the previous slide, and it is used for creating and displaying web pages, displaying pages on the web. So HTML is a language which is used for World Wide Web, and it is a standard text formatting language, and it is used to display some pages over the internet. Next one. So the person who created this HTML language, it is a Tim Berners-Lee. The name of the person who created this HTML is Tim Berners-Lee. He created this HTML in the year late 1991. So we have, after the creation of this HTML in the late 1991, we have multiple at the time we have only one version, that is the HTML 1.0, and then later some of the functionalities has been added by version, and then we got HTML 2, HTML 3.0, HTML 4.0, and at present the latest version of this hypertext markup language is HTML5, and it was released in 2014. So the present latest version is HTML5, and it was released in 2014. And next one, with the help of HTML only, we can create static web pages. I'm not going to discuss about the dynamic web pages. Okay, right? So here I'm going to discuss about the static web pages. So the web pages, the development of static web pages is only possible with the help of this hypertext markup language only. So if we want to develop a static web page, we have to use this hypertext markup language. And then coming to the next slide, HTML, there are different contents. So HTML, what does this HTML consist? So HTML consists of a series of elements. It consists of, it is not only a single element or a single module, it consists of a series of elements. So let us have a look at what are the different elements this HTML is having. So what does these elements will tell? These HTML elements tell the browser how to display the content. So if we have some content, and if we want to display that particular content on a web page, this hypertext markup language will tell how to display that particular content on the web. We already saw in the first slide, this hypertext markup language is used for formatting conversions and then applying some layout. So if we have some text, means this HTML will apply some conventions, and it will add some layout to our text, and then it will display on the web browser. So HTML elements. So HTML consists of a series of elements. All these elements tell the browser how to display the content over the web. Right. So most of the HTML elements, are written with a start tag and an end tag with content in between. So what we call elements in the sense, if anything is having a starting tag and ending tag, or anything is having a starting tag only, some tags may not have the end tag. So if anything is having a starting tag and ending tag, or if anything is having a starting tag and some content in between starting and ending tag, so those things are called as HTML elements. the first point, we have seen that HTML consists of a series of elements, and these elements are used. These elements will tell the browser how to display that content. And what are those elements? In the sense, anything which was represented by a start tag, or anything which was represented by a start tag and an end tag, and content in between start and end tags are called HTML elements. So let us have a look at what do you mean by start tag and what we mean by end tag. So the syntax of HTML element is that less than symbol, tag name, greater than symbol, some content, and then less than symbol, forward slash, tag name, and then greater than symbol. So the syntax is showing that if anything is in between less than symbol and greater than symbol, it is called as tag. And if the same tag contains a slash symbol, it means it is an end tag. So for example, if we want to display something, if we want to display something as a heading, or if we want to display something as a paragraph, so HTML element which was used to display something as a paragraph is called as P. So less than, P, greater than, and the thing which we want to display as a paragraph should be written now. And then after the completion of that particular paragraph, we have to close the tag. Closing of the tag means we have to use the forward slash in between greater than and less than along with the tag name, right? So here it is the syntax. Syntax contains a tag name and then content and then closing tag. So in the opening tag, that is the start tag, we don't have slash symbol. We have only two symbols, that is the less than and greater than. And in the closing tag also contains less than and greater than along with the slash symbol and tag name. So that is the basic syntax of each and every HTML element. And then, for example, see there is one example which was represented in the red color. Less than h1 greater than my first heading, less than slash h1 greater than. So here HTML contains 6 types of headings: h1, h2, h3, h4, h5, and h6. Depending upon the size what we need on the web page, we have to use particular heading. So if I want a big heading on my HTML page, then I will use h1. If I want some heading which was somewhat less font, I will use h2. Similarly, h3, h4, h5, and if I need a small heading, I use h6. So here h1 is the tag which is going to represent heading in some large font. So here the tag name is h1. Whenever I say tag, it must be represented between less than symbol and greater than symbol. So less than, my tag name is h1, greater than, so it is a start tag because it does not contain any slash symbol. It is a start tag, and my heading is my first heading, and my content is my first heading. So my first heading is my content. So I completed my content. Whenever I completed my content, I need to represent the end tag. End tag in the sense it should contain, as we seen in the syntax, it should contain less than symbol, forward slash, and then tag name, and then greater than symbol. Here our tag name is h1, and then we are going to close the tag. So we have to use the slash symbol, and it should be represented. Whenever I say tag, it should be represented in less than and greater than symbols. So now my first heading, the text my first heading will be represented in our HTML page as a heading, as a large font size heading. So similarly, if we want to display your name as a large font size on your web page, for example, your name is computer science and engineering, then you have to represent less than, engineering again less than. So the computer science and engineering will be represented as a large font size on your web page. Let us see these two things, the combination of the not only two things, the combination of three things, that is the start tag, the end tag, and then the content in between the start and end tag is called as an element. As we see in the first point, element HTML consists of a series of elements where we have multiple number of elements, which each and every element has its own purpose. So each and every element means a thing with a start tag with some content and an end tag is called as an element. So what we call this H1 is, in the sense, H1 is the start tag, and then slash H1 is called as end tag. That means we are going to end the properties of H1 here, and then the in between. So my first heading, the thing in which is in between H1 and slash H1 is called as the content of our element. Right. Next one. Here we have seen start tag and end tag, but sometimes we may have no content, or there is no need of some end tag. So there is a point here. Some HTML elements have no content, so there is no need of content. These elements are called as empty elements. So whenever there is no need of content, then there is no need of end tag. If there is only content, means we have to mention the start and end point of that content. So when there is no content, means there is no need to mention the end. So some HTML elements has no content. These elements are called as empty elements. So HTML consists of a series of elements. Among all those series of elements, some elements are called as empty elements. So the empty elements means the elements which do not have content. So these type of elements are called as empty elements. So let us have a look at what are the empty elements we have. So empty elements do not have an end tag also. So that is, if an element does not have any content, so then that element do not have an end tag. Next one, example, BR. So break. So this particular tag, this BR is a opening tag, and it does not have any content. And when there is no content, then there is no need of that end tag. And the use of this BR tag and that HTML BR element produces something like it is used to divide the line, that is the break a line. For example, if we are writing something like if you are writing a poem, we need to have breaks at particular point of our text. And then if we are writing some address where we need some division in the lines, so at that particular point of time, we are going to use this break tag. So whenever we want to represent an address, we need to represent street name, break, and then district name, break, state name, break, country, break, pin code. We have to represent the address in multiple number of lines. So whenever we need to represent the text in a new line, we have to use this particular break tag, which do not have any content. At the same time, which do not have the end tag. So whenever we use the break tag, our text will be displayed in the next line. There is the major use of this BR tag. And then coming to the next slide. The next slide, let us see about the properties of these tag. Each and every tag have some properties. So among those properties, every tag has two properties. So let us have a look at these two properties. The name of the first property is attribute and the name of the second property is content. So attribute and content are the two properties of each and every tag. In the previous slide, we have seen about the start tag, some content and end tag. Along with the start tag, each and every tag may have some attributes. So let us look at the attributes in the next slides. So some people who already worked with this HTML, for example, uh, you all are you all completed the Java programming language. So in Java, while we are dealing with applets, we are going to use Java code along with the HTML code also. While we are using HTML code, we have used a tag with the name applet tag. We already studied that this applet tag consists of three attributes, that is the name, width and height. We already saw that. So those three things are called as the attributes of the applet tag. Similar to that attributes of the applet tag, some of the tags in HTML may have attributes, and it is one of the property of HTML. And so let us come to the point. So in HTML, each and every tag have two properties, that is the attribute and content. So this attribute, it specify an additional information about the tag. So attribute means it is going to specify some additional information. For example, I want to import an image in our web page. I want to import some image in our web page. So if I want to import an image, I have to use img tag, which is used to insert some image into our web page. So just by using img tag, we cannot display an image into our web page. And that image tag is responsible for displaying an image into web page. But that image tag should be provided with a particular image which is needed to be displayed on the web page. So that particular image address will be given to an attribute. So there the attribute is used to have some additional information about the tag. It is always defined in the starting tag. Very, very important. Attributes are not defined in the end tags. Each and every attribute should be defined in the starting tag only. And it is made up of two parts. Again, we are attribute is made up of two parts: name of the attribute and then value of the attribute. We have seen in the applets. Applet tag has three attributes: name, width, and height. For name is the name of the attribute, and after equal to, we are going to assign some address. That address is the value of that attribute. For example, width is the name of the attribute, and the width equal to 400 means 400 will be the value of that attributes. Height is the name of that attribute. Height equal to 300 means 300 will be the value of that attributes. So each and every tag have two properties: attribute and content. Attribute means it is used to specify some additional information about the tag. So in order to specify some additional information about the tag, we need to have attributes. That attribute should be defined in the starting tag. That attribute should be defined in the starting tag only. So that attribute is again divided into two parts. Not divided, it is made up of two parts. So the two parts of that attribute are name of the attribute and value of the attribute. Next one, name. It is the property you want to set. So it is the name is the property you want to set, and then value, it is to be set and always put in the quotations. So name is the property what we want to set. See, name is the property what you want to set, and then value, it is to be set and always put in the quotations. So the always attribute will be the name of the attribute will be in open, and but the value of the attribute should be represented in the double quotations. So name is the property and then value is the amount of that property. We can say amount of that property, right? Next one. Example. Let us have a look at what is an attribute and what are the name of that attribute and what are the value of that attributes. For example, P. P means it is a paragraph tag, and then for example, if we simply use P in between greater than and less than, it means a paragraph tag, and then we will write some content, and then we will end up that content with a closing paragraph tag. It means that particular text which was represented in between the start paragraph tag and end paragraph tag will be displayed as a paragraph with some default values, with some alignment of left and then something like default values. But then if we want to change the style of the paragraph, that means if we want to change the alignment of the paragraph, or if we want to change the uh, text or text in the sense, if we want to change the font size of the text in the paragraph, or if we want to change the color of the text in the paragraph, we need to provide some additional information to the paragraph tag. So that additional information should be provided along with the attribute names. So let us have a look at and let us come to the point. Here in the example, we have given less than P, align equal to right, greater than. So in this particular tag, it is a start tag because it does not contain a slash symbol. So it is a start tag, and the name of tag is P. So P means it represents a paragraph. It represents a paragraph, and then align. Align is the name of the attribute. So we are going to align. So we already seen align is the name of the attribute. So name and what that name suggests is it is a property you want to set. So we want to set alignment. What alignment we want to set will be represented in the RHS side, and the representation should be in the double quotations. That is P align equal to right. So we want to align the text of the paragraph on the right side of the web page. So that is the right alignment. We want to apply right alignment to the paragraph. So here align is the name of the attribute and right is the value of the attribute. Right is the value of the attribute. That is why the right was represented in double quotations. Next one, coming to the next point, align. It is an attribute name, and then right. It is an attribute value. We have seen there. Attribute is used to specify some additional information about the tag. It is always defined in the starting tag. This attribute is made up of two parts, name and value. So you can see align is the name of the attribute. Right is the value of the attribute. So this attribute, the two parts of the attribute, name of the attribute and then value of the attribute. Coming to the next slide. Let us have let us have a look at some of the basic HTML tag. First one, let us have a look at the character formatting tags. Character formatting tags. First one, boldface tag. So the people who are working with MS Word is very much familiar about the bold option on the MS Word of MS Word. So if we want to highlight some text, you all are seeing the screen. On the screen, you can observe the heading, basic HTML tags. The heading was represented somewhat bold. There is some boldness on the heading. So that boldness will come in MS Word when we press on the B button, when we select some text and we when press on a B button on the top right, on the top place and the window, we will get some boldness to our text. Similarly, while we are dealing with hypertext markup language, if we want to highlight some text or if we want to apply some boldness to the text, we have to represent that particular text in between a tag called as B and closing tag B. So the tag B represents bold. So Here B is the starting tag, and we write some content. The dash in the place of that those dashes, we write some content. So that content which was represented there will have some boldness. We will see. We will look at all these type of tags. That is the paragraph tag we have already seen in the previous slide, and then we have seen about some align attribute, and then now we are seeing about this B tag, and in the previous slides we have seen about the h1 tag. All these tags will be explained by using an examples in the next coming classes. Next one, italic tag. We know that if we want to apply some italic to a text, that is the italic effect can be implemented by using an italic tag. These tags are very easy to remember because we can see headings. Already said about heading tags. There are 6 heading tags. That is the H1. When we say heading, it will start with H. So H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. When I say 6 tags, the numbering will be 1 to 6. So it is very easy to remember. When I say paragraph, it was represented by P. When I say bold, it was represented by B. When I say italic, it was represented by I. So remembering of these simple tags is not an issue. We can easily remember all these tags because each and every tag is starting. Each and every tag name will be the starting character of our property, right? If you want to apply the bold property, we have to use the B tag. If you want to apply the italic property, we have to use the I tag. If we want to represent as a paragraph, we have to use the P tag. If we want to represent a heading, we have to use H tag. That is our H tag. In the sense, it may be H1 because there are 6 headings: H1, H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. So I think it's very easy to remember. So if we want to apply the italic, we have to use the I tag and some content. And there are some important points while we writing a document or anything, while we are writing some script or anything. There are some important points. Sometimes we need to underline those important points. So in order to make an underline for all those points in the hypertext that is on the web pages, we have to use the U tag. I already said it is very easy to remember all the tags because each and every tag name starts with the property what we are going to use. Here we are going to underline something. So in order to underline something, we have to use U. That is the thing. Coming to the next tag. So big tag. So it specifies the selected text be displayed as bigger than the other text in the pages. So we want to display some text with some higher font. That is, for example, I am writing a text on the web page like HTML means hypertext markup language. So I want to highlight hypertext markup language. So I want to display hypertext markup language text as bigger than other text in that web page. So I have to represent hypertext markup language in between big start tag and big end tag. So if anything which was represented in between the big start tag and big end tag, that particular text will be displayed as bigger than the other text in the web pages. So remember this one, big tag. So I am going to execute all these tags and I am going to show the output of all these tags in the coming classes. Don't worry about, don't think that just I am saying when I am leaving. I will explain and I will show the outcome of each and every tag in the coming classes. Next one, small tag. Similar to the big tag which was used to represent some text bigger than the other text in the web page. Similarly, there is one tag called a small tag. This particular small tag is used to display the text smaller than the remaining text in the web pages. Sometimes there is need to display some text with a lower font size than the other text. At that particular point of time, we have to use this small tag. While we are writing something by using this hypertext markup language, we have to display some text with small sizes, means we have to use the tag called as small tag. I think everyone is clear up to now. Next one, strong tag. So it is always emphasize the text. So this strong tag, it is always emphasized. What this emphasize in the sense, it indicates that its content have some strong importance or seriousness or urgency. Uh, Browsers typically render the contents in bold type. So browsers all, if we represent something with this strong tag, browser represents that particular content in between the strong start tag and end tag with some boldness. So it will represent some seriousness. For example, uh, we are writing some documentation regarding a car. Have seat belt when you switch on the engine. So that if the have seat belt is represented within the strong starting tag and end tag, that means that have seat belt text will be highlighted somewhat. That is the strong have seat belt will be in bold. So that is means emphasizing the text. Emphasizing the text means we are going to highlight some text. So in order to emphasize the text, we have to use the tag called as strong tag. Next one, seventh one, sub and sub tag. These are the tags for superscript and subscript of text. We all know that while we are working with mathematics, we have something like x square plus y square equal to z square. So x square, in the sense that 2 should be represented at the top of x, that 2 should be represented at top of y, and 2 should be represented at top of z. That means x square, that 2 should be at the top of x. So in order to represent that particular 2 at some higher position than the x or y or z, we have to use the sup tag, that is the superscript. And then subscript tag means some equations may have x2 plus y2 equal to z2. x2 plus y2 equal to z2, that 2 should be represented somewhat bottom to x, that 2 should be represented somewhat bottom to y. At that particular point of time, the 2 should be represented with sub tag. Sub means subscript, sup means it's superscript. So if we want to represent something at the top, or if we want to represent something at the bottom, we have to use sub and super tag according to our need. And next one, example program. Let us have a look at block formatted tags. So I will represent this sub and super tag in example program 1, which will be shown in the next classes. And then block formatted tags. Up to now, we have seen about the character formatting tags. Character, each and everything will be applied to a single character or a group of characters. Now we are dealing with some block. That is a block formatted tags. Coming to the block formatted tags, the first tag will comes into our mind whenever I say the block. The first tag will comes into our mind is the paragraph tag, which was represented by using a P, and it may or may not have attributes. There is no mandate of using this attribute. If we want to display or if we want to apply something like what we want, we need to use the attributes. Otherwise, this paragraph tag will display some text in the paragraph. Text as a paragraph on the web page with some default properties. So there is one attribute, this paragraph tag, which was represented in the rectangular braces. That means it is optional. We may or may not use. There is no mandate of using this align tag. So P, align equal to left or right or center. So if you want to align the text of the paragraph at the left, we have to use align equal to left. Or if you want to the text at the center, we have to use align equal to center. Or if you want to align that particular text at the right, we have to use align equal to right. So there is no need, there is no mandate of using this align. By default, the paragraph tag will assign the text as left alignment. Next one. Coming to the next one, heading tag. Heading tag, it specifies the headings of a text in the web page. It specifies the headings. As I said earlier, there are 6 types of headings. So the following will represent the syntax of headings. HN. So you can observe there. that N was represented somewhat bottom to H. So that is called as subscript. That is called as subscript. If we want to represent something at that subscript, we have to use a tag called as subtag. You can see that subtag at the top of this particular slide. In the character formatting tags, you can see there is one tag called a subtag. So if you want to represent something at the bottom of your text, that is at bottom of something, so we have to use that subtag. So hn, some text, and then closing hn, where the value of n will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That means there may be a tag called as h1, there may be a tag called as h2, there may be a tag called as h3, and h4, h5, and h6. Depending upon the size of the heading we need, depending upon our requirement, depending upon the alignment or anything what we need, depending upon our requirement, we can have a bigger heading by using a h1 tag. We can have a small heading by using h6 tag, and h3, depending upon the medium size of heading, we can use either h3 or h4, whatever it may be. We can use any type of tags depending upon our needs only. Next one, h1 is high size, h6 is low size, and then block formatted string, hr. So if we want to draw some horizontal line on a web page, we can use a tag called as hr tag. hr tag, a horizontal line in a web page. So this hr tag is having some attributes. The name of these attributes are align, width, size, and color. So alignment in the sense whether we want the line to be aligned left, or the line to be aligned at the center, or the line to be aligned at the right. And then width, so how much width of that line. So if you want a 10 points, or if you want a 20 points width. And then size of that line, the size of that line can be specified in this particular attribute, and then color of the line also can be specified. So these things, the thing alignment is optional thing, and the remaining things we have to provide. By default, color will be the black color. So if we want some horizontal line on the web page, we have to use the hr tag. Next one, fourth one, base font tag. So it is used to set the font size to enter text on the web page. By default, there will be some font size, and if we want to increase or decrease the size of the font, we can use this base font. And the size base font tag contains an attribute called as size, and the size the value should be given under hs in the double quotes. If we have given size equal to 10, means the entire text will be the font size of that entire text will be 10 points. And if we have n equal to if we have size equal to 20, the entire text to font size will be 20. And then font tag. So we can see different types of font types of font in the sense Arial, Times New Roman, something like that. So if we want some other different font, there is one default font for each and every HTML or web page. So if we want to change the type of font, we have to use the tag called as font tag. And this font tag is also having 3 attributes. Face means which type of font we are going to use, and then color of that font, and then size of that font. And next one, all these things will be explained with examples in the next coming classes. Don't worry about this. Next one, sixth one, marquee tag. So it is very it will roll the text. This marquee tag will roll the text from left to right, or right to left, or top to bottom, or bottom to top. If some people may have interest while watching news channels, you can observe this scrolling of text in the news channels. In the news channels, whatever maybe the news is going on the screen, in the bottom there will be 2 or 3 scrolling lines will be moving from left to right or right to left depending upon the type of TV channel. That's not a problem. So the text will be moving, which are used to display some breaking news or very important news are displayed there. So in order to move that particular, in order to move text in the similar way on the web pages, if you, some people may have interest on what we call stock market. The stock market, while we are watching the channels regarding the stock market, also something the bottom will go like BSC, Sensex, Nifty 50, 0.5, 0.6, 50% up, 50% down. These type of things will be scrolling from left to right of the left to right of the screen. So in order to make a text to scroll on a web page from left to right or right to left, as I said earlier, top to bottom or bottom to top, whatever it may be, we have to use the marquee tag. So marquee tag is used for scrolling effect for selected text in the web page. So if anything on the web page, if any text on, if we want to apply some scrolling for a text on a web page, we have to mention that particular text in between the marquee tag. This is the syntax: marquee opening tag and some content which we want to display it as a scrolling, and then end tag of marquee. So this marquee tag will also have some attributes. By default, the text will move towards the left side of the screen. If we want to change the direction, by default the text will move with some speed. If you want to increase the speed or if you want to decrease the speed, we need to have some attributes. So let us have a look at some of the attributes of this marquee tag. The first attribute of this marquee tag is that align. So this will set the alignment of the text. If we initially, if you want to set the alignment of the text on the left or center or the right of the screen, we have to use this align attribute. And then behavior. Set how the text in the marquee should move, like text enter into a one slide, stop into another slide, scroll, bounce, etc. If you want the text one side stop, that means if you want to text to move from the left side to and then to stop at the right side, or if you want to move the text from left side and then towards the right side, and then if you want to scroll or if you want to bounce the text, etc., we need to apply some behavior. So that behavior is one of the attribute of this marquee tag along the behavior. So I will show all these tags and attributes in the next coming classes. Don't worry about that. Background color. It will set some background color towards the text which was scrolling. For example, if you are watching a news channel, some text will be scrolled under the background of red color. Some text will scroll with the background of white color. So that background can be applied by using the attribute called as BG color. And then height and width. So the height and width of the text can also be set by using this height and width tags, height and width attributes. By default, there will be some height and width. If we want to change that particular height and width of that text of the marquee tag, then we have to use the height attribute and width attribute. See, marquee tag, it is used for to display a text as a scrolling. Okay, that scrolling behavior can also be changed by using an attribute called as behavior. The alignment of that particular text can be changed by using an attribute called as align, and the background color for that particular text can be changed by using a BG color, and the height and width of that particular text can be changed by using the attributes called as height and width. We already know attributes. Attributes have two things: the name of the attribute and the value of the attribute. We have already seen in the previous slides. Okay, so we have to give some values to all these attributes in order to make the text according to our need. So let us have a look at the basic HTML structure. I think it may be the last slide of today's session. After this, I will close the today's session, and the next sessions I will continue with the next topics. So HTML basic structure. This is the basic structure of HTML. So let us see each and everything in detail. First one, every HTML code start with HTML tag. So if we are dealing with HTML, for example, if we are dealing with C programming language, we start with main. We start with some header files. We start with some documentation, or we start with some main. So similarly, if we want to deal, if you are writing a HTML code, for sure we have to start with this HTML tag. So it is called starting tag because it does not contain the slash symbol. Every HTML code start with HTML tag, and then head tag. What this head tag will specify, in the sense it specify information about the web page. So the web page, what we are going to work, have some information, and the specification of that information is used by using this head tag. Title. So the title of the web page can be specified by using this title tag, and then body. Specify actual information that is to be displayed on the screen. So the things which were represented in the body tag only, the actual information what we want to display on the screen. Other than that one, head is used to display information about the web page. Under the head we have title tag. That particular title tag is used to display the title of the web page, and then the actual content, the original content what we want to display on the web page should be represented in the body tag only. So let us have a look at the structure of these tags. First started with HTML, started with and then head, and then title. After giving the title, we have closed the title tag, and then after closing the title tag, we have closed the head tag. And then we have opened the body tag, and then we have mentioning some information what we want to display on the web page, and then we are closing the body tag, and finally we are ending our program with the HTML end tag. This is how the basic HTML structure will look like. And then, if you have any queries regarding today's session, you can post a comment in the comment box, or I can text me. So I will reply as soon as possible, or whenever I was free, I will reply to you. So, and I'm very thankful to everyone. I'm very thankful to everyone for being patient and listening all the session. I hope everyone is grabbing some knowledge, and just we started with the basics. Don't worry, we will go in depth in the next classes, and we have seen some tags, and some of you may have some doubts regarding these tags, whether these tags will work or not. Uh, don't worry. I will show you in the next classes. Don't worry. So let us revise our class in a couple of minutes. So in today's class, we have seen about the full form of HTML, that is the hypertext markup language. And then the person who invented the HTML, that is the Tim Berners-Lee in 1991, late 1991. And then the present version of HTML, that is the HTML5. And then we have seen the elements of HTML, elements in the sense anything which was represented between the start tag and end tag is called as an element. So each and every, we have seen that each and every element have some properties. So those, each and every element have some parts, that is a start tag, content, and end tag. So some tags may don't have content. So the tags which don't have content do not have an end tag. We have seen example called as BR, that means break. So that break tag is only having a start tag. It does not have any end tag, or it does not have any content. It is only used to break some lines. As I said earlier, if you want to represent an address, we cannot represent it in a single line. We have to divide each and every part. We have to represent the door number in one line, and then street name in one line, and then village name in one line, mandal name, district name, and then state name and pin code in different lines. If you want to end that particular line, we have to use the BR tag. That BR tag do not have any content. That BR tag do not have any end tag. So those type of elements are also exist in the HTML. So each and every tag may have some attribute and value. So attribute means it is used to specify some additional information. Value means the thing of that additional information. And then we have seen about some character formatting tags, character formatting tags, in the sense we have seen about bold. If you want to represent a text with bold, we have to use the B tag. Italic, we have to use the I tag. Similarly, we have seen about some block representing text, block representing the tags, in the sense paragraph tag, which was represented by using P, and then heading tags, which was represented by using H1 to H6, depending upon the size what we need on the web page. We can select any one, either H1, which represents a bigger size, or a H6, which represents a smaller size. Along with all these tags, we have seen one more tag called as mark Q. This mark Q tag is used to scroll some text from left to right, top to bottom, bottom to top, or right to left, whatever we need on the screen, whatever the text we want to move from any part, any side of the screen to other side of the screen, we can use this mark Q tag. Along with the mark Q tag, we have seen about the basic structure of HTML. So each and every HTML should contain HTML tag, and then head tag, it may be optional, and then body tag is also mandated in order to display some actual information, and we have to close each and every tag. There may be some tags which we don't need to close, example that break tag. So I was very thankful to one and all for being patient, and I hope everyone grabbed the knowledge. And in the next classes also, in the next classes, we can see some more tags and some more information regarding this HTML. And thank you one and all, and thank you very much. In the next class also, I will revise some points. No problem. And thank you all. Thank you very much.